everybody? It's your main man, Anthony Brogdon, at you once again, my friends. I'm coming at you from all angles. I'm coming at you from all over the world. And I know you like me because you tell me so. Every now and then, some of you nice people send me a message and say, hey, man, I appreciate that, idiot view. And then I tell you what, this really good right here. Some of y'all say I did a good job. I get a comment every now and then and say, hey, man, I like your questions. Because really, I ain't gonna lie to you, don't tell nobody I told you, but I don't really necessarily prepare for this. And the reason why I say that is I do some preparation, but I don't because I want to ask questions as if I got no clue. Because some of y'all who watch me don't have no clue, and I don't want to talk over and act like, well, I don't have to ask that because I know it already. You follow what I'm saying, my friends? Because here at Strong Inspirations, I give it to you straight, no chaser. I can put an ice cube in it, a lemon, a lime, an orange, some fruit, or whatever you want to make sure that you get intoxicated with this good Black history. I let these people who are nice folk, like my man coming on the channel, my man, nice guy, right? My man said, hey, I can't wait to come on. And I know he a nice guy. Watch this, and you're gonna feel it too. And so I get these people somehow. Have you watched the video on the channel where the guy says his father, his grandfather was in the KKK? You watched that one? And he says, hey, I know, and I cannot forgive him for that. Did you watch the one where the lady says, she's a professor at a university. She says, hey, I grew up in Clinton, Arkansas, and I know that they killed some people and it wasn't right. And I'm spending my life and time sharing this story. Did you watch that one? Did you watch the one where the lady on the channel, another one of them PhD type people, she comes up, she says there were, in some instances, either the husband or wife was enslaved and the other one was not? Can you imagine that dynamic? And I almost wanted to say, dang, so what happened? She didn't get paid and he did? She said that was one of the things. The other thing was, as you can imagine, she or he could have gotten sold off and it would have been a wrap. Because the other person ain't following them down up into them circumstances, trying to pretend like, hey, I'm not, I'm free and so let me go. Can you imagine that one? How about this one? Did you see the video on the channel where the guy said him and 3 of his buddies went to the KKK rally? They got caught and got beat minutes from their life and he survived. Somebody saved him. And then the next day he rides in a convertible Volkswagen. This is in the 60s. Around where them KKK was marching and said, y'all can't stop me. Watch that one. Did you see the one where the lady, she has been to 48 states and about 5 or 6 different countries in Africa, and she goes looking for Black history sites. This is how she spends her time. And has said that she's been in some towns where she's the only one of them Black folks running around. I asked her, are you scared? She says, I'm from Chicago. Nothing scares me. I'm from Chi-Town. I said, sister, next time you go, let us know. We're going to say a prayer in your honor. Watch that video. Sankofa Travels. One more. Did you see the video of the guy who spends his time on 2 fronts, on 3 fronts? Watch this. He works at a plantation and he tells it the way it was. And he works as, but he volunteers as a Civil War enactment dude, where the Confederates against the Union. And I had to ask him, watch that video. I said, man, do you sometimes slip up and shoot straight? You say, hey, man, I got caught up. I'm sorry for hitting him with that bullet in the stomach. but he looked real. I got caught up. Watch those videos. I got a bunch of them on the channel. This thing, the train has left the station. Watch, hit the subscribe button on Strong Inspirations. It's free. I don't ask no information. It just let me know you like me, because I like you. And even if you don't subscribe, I still like you. And I'm gonna keep doing it until you do, my friends. You can't stop this. Like this video, my man is sitting there, he's smiling, he got books behind him, he gonna tell you something you didn't know. Like this video, hit the notifications bell and tell somebody about Strong Inspirations. And how about this? I'm going fast because I got to get him on here. Is that I'm having my own festival, little old me in Quindaro, Kansas City, Kansas. May 27th through the 29th, I want 1,000 of y'all to come and we're gonna party on Friday night. You can bring your own moonshine. I'm gonna tell you where to get it. I can't serve you no liquor, but we're gonna party. And I got a feeling I found the barn. So wear your dusty blue jeans. And then the next day, we're gonna take tours of that area. Check it out. There's a video on the channel where this guy's great-great-grandfather walked across the Missouri River from Missouri, ended up in Kansas, which was a free state. I got 3-4 videos talking about this scenario. And then my man told that guy, don't come over here looking for me, man. I ain't going back. We're going to fight it out. One of us going to take one. Watch that. And I was so impressed with that Quindaro stress, I got to come. And I want 1,000 of y'all to come with me. The flyer will be going out in the next, let's say very soon. And it's very reasonable. I'm gonna feed you and I'm gonna make sure everything is coordinated. I'm gonna give you a couple of gifts. Be there. Put it on your calendar. May 27th through 9th, Kansas City. You fly into Missouri and then you come on over. Now, are you hearing me? I tell you what other things. You know what I'm about to say, my friends. I'm a filmmaker and I'm serious about my game. My movie is streaming on Amazon and as soon will be on Tubi, but get it, watch it now. Business in the Black, the rise of Black business in America. I like talking Black history, particularly when we win. We win in this. There's some Black millionaires, you don't know their names. You ever heard of Julius, the Potato Man Groves? Black man out of Kansas. He was out of Kansas. My man got his freedom, had about $80 or something like that in his pocket. He ended up being a multi-millionaire with potatoes. Watch that, and it's in the book. This is my book, my friends, Black business book. I got over 200 facts. I got stuff that I know you don't know, and if you do know every fact in this book, I give your money back. A book with a money back guarantee. I know you can't believe that. There it is. Whoop, there it is. I'm that serious.
Look, that's a good rewards program right there.
Hey, man, I'm telling you, man, you know all these. You got to get your copy of the book and go to my website, businessintheblack.net, where you can, the link to stream the movie is there, where you can get the book. You get it. I get an autograph. It tells you about my festival. And another little thing I got coming up, I got to go fast. It's on my heart, my friends. I'm shooting my own movie here in Detroit. It'll be out next year. I wrote the script. It's called Foot Soldiers. But without further ado, y'all know I use that word strong a lot, man. Strong is a lot of what I do. I just like strong. I wish I lived on Strong Street. I ain't gonna lie to you. And so strong stands for strength, tenacity, resilience, and a sense of oneness, nobility, and grace, which is the introduction to my brother, the guest on the channel today, because he's a strong man. Come on, brother, introduce yourself. Let's get it on. Thank you for being here.
Man, you make it so hard to follow up, brother. I mean, golly. I mean, I feel like I got to set myself on fire now. I mean,
you got it, man. That's easy.
But no, I'm glad to be here, brother. My name is Frederick Murphy, Frederick Deshaun Murphy, filmmaker, as well as licensed professional counselor. Let me see, man. Born in Illinois, left there when I was 4 years old with my family, headed back down south. My family was part of one of the many migrations out of the South. You know, folks got tired of doing all that damn sharecropping. So they had to get on up out of there. But like most did recognize is that, it wasn't too much different up in Illinois, which is where my family went.
Okay, hold on. Let's go back here. I got to talk about you just for a second. Excuse me for interrupting. How they
Yeah.
get to Illinois?
How did they? It was a promise that this it was a promise that this factory was there and provided good jobs and all this and all that. And my great grandfather, he had it was 14 of them. So in this small community in which we were in Tennessee, everyone was related. So he's like, to give my girls, because there was way more girls than boys. He was like, to give them a shot at finding somebody who they ain't kin to, as well as the opportunity to make more money. We're just gonna shoot up to the Midwest. And that's
okay. Hold on. Now, you might have said, where were they coming from?
They a community in Montgomery County, Tennessee, and Dixon County, Tennessee.
Okay.
Yep.
And so they got to Illinois, and then you all came along, what have you, and then they went back to where? Where did you grow up at?
Yeah, Clarksville, Tennessee.
Do you know how far that was from where they were?
Well, I know it's a 5-hour drive.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Yep, 5-hour drive. So you go through Tennessee, Kentucky, and then you're right there in Illinois. Oh, you go through Indiana too.
Okay, so, let me ask you this then. You being the smooth guy you was, even at 4 years old, coming out of Chicago, you stepping in everything already. How did you deal with that Southern mentality?
It never left, because everyone who I was around was Southern. Everybody in this town, they were all from the South.
I'm talking about when you got back to Tennessee.
We were always there. We would always go home. Yeah, we would in reunions, every holidays. And I was young. I was 4 years old. Got back when I was like 5. Got back when I was 4. So I was already deeply rooted and ingrained with it. Yeah. So I'm a Southerner all the way through.
Okay, let me ask you this then. What does it mean you were a Southerner? What do you think the different dynamic is from being a Southerner than being a Northerner in a big city like Chicago?
I don't, because when you look back 1 or 2 generations from Chicago, where's everybody from? They got neighborhoods in Chicago that was the exact same neighborhoods that was named in the South.
Oh, yes.
People brought that with them, right? So, there's nowhere that you can go in our country that the South has not influenced in any way, shape, or form.
That's right. That's right.
Right. So for me, when I go to any part of the country, I see the South in all of it. Right. Yeah. So in those specific, Detroit, Chicago, Milwaukee, like those big Cleveland, the big, Midwest towns.
Yeah.
Everybody got folks in Alabama, to Tennessee,
that's right,
Alabama, Georgia. So, we all one big family, bro. We all cousins.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But then you go down there, do you, again, you're young.
Yeah.
Do you hear of any stories in that town of any of the racism and all that kind of thing? You know what I mean? Do you hear, do they tell you, hold on, now you in the South, don't say that kind of things in front of them people?
So in 1996, while I was playing basketball from my high school, we got a call. It was Martin Luther King weekend, and it was a tournament that was in Pulaski, Tennessee. So the mayor of Pulaski called my basketball coach and was like, Coach Brown, just letting you know, it's Martin Luther King Day weekend. We know your boys got a tournament down here, but the Klan's going to be marching, and I'm not quite sure that we have enough people that can protect them.
Oh, really?
Right? So that was like, that wasn't the start of me recognizing, the differences as it relates to what people deem superiority versus not, right? Because this dude could just make one phone call and change the whole trajectory of what we've been working hard for all year to make it to this tournament, right? But the coach had to make a decision. He called our parents and said, hey, this is the message that I received from their mayor. What do you all want to do? So overwhelmingly, our parents said, no, we don't want our kids to go down there. But I had previous things prior to that. My grandmother's brother was hanged in 1966, right? There was no investigation or anything like that. They just called it a suicide, right? Thing with
do you know the circumstance behind that? I mean, did he?
We do know that he was dating a white girl whose uncle was the sheriff of the town.
And they just got mad. They didn't like it or whatever.
Well, my great grandmother did receive, threats that, you need to tell your son to stop talking to X, Y, and Z.
So you all didn't do that basketball tournament?
No, we did not. No, our parents did not allow us to go down there.
All right, how about this? Well, in the town that you grew up, what was the percentage of blacks and whites and that kind of thing?
I would say in the county, it was probably 40, 60. Yeah,
Okay.
40% us, 60% white. Yeah.
And what was the side of town that the black people lived on?
Oh man, South Side. We lived in Cabin Row, and these are all mostly former plantations. So Cabin Row, Promised Land, and Promised Land in Middle Tennessee was the very first established school in Middle Tennessee.
Okay.
People in 1867. Just the school and the church is still standing in the state, right? So Africantown, we had Africantown. We just erected a historical marker, historical panel for Africantown as well. So black folks was pretty much any and everywhere. Rudolphtown. I am a cousin of Wilma Rudolph. We're related through our Pettit side. Her second great grandfather is my third great grandfather, so that's how we're connected. So a lot of black folks in that area, like it has been in a lot of areas. But right now it looks completely different, of course, due to gentrification and everything that's happening across the country. It's not just germane to the South, as you know.
Did they ever tell you don't go somewhere? That's where the white people are?
No, because it was just like a written, it was a rule. Like we just stayed with us. We just Greenwood, Lincoln Homes, Summit Heights, like we just stayed with us. We didn't have a desire to go over.
So you never had any white friends?
During
those days.
I had one growing up, and then when I got to high school in the 9th grade is because my middle school experience was all black. I mean, it was we went to Greenwood. It was right next to the housing projects, Greenwood. And it was mostly black, but it wasn't until they rezoned. See, it's the whole rezoning thing. Because I lived like maybe 5-minute car drive from the white school, but they bused us all the way to.
Oh,
Black.
really?
I'm 42, so I'm not too old. So this lets people know, as far as redlining and all these other things, how recent this is, and it's still going on today.
Yeah.
But no, we never was told to go on those side because, to be honest, we never had a desire to, because we had black cleaners. We already had our own restaurants. We already knew our own people on our side, and everyone was family. So we never even desired to go over to that side, to be honest with you. We was good.
Did your high school didn't play the white high schools, did they?
Yeah, because my high school, I mean, we was all, it wasn't integration, desegregation during that time. So we played all the schools. We played white, black, we played all the schools.
Okay. Did your teachers encourage you to go to college?
In high school, no. Middle school, yeah, we had HBCU paraphernalia all around the school. My cousin was a principal at Greenwood Middle School, and so we had HBCU pennants all up and down the hallway. Obviously, a lot of Wilma Rudolph stuff because she's from the town. Blackness was just everywhere. I mean, I went to TSU. I also went to Bethune-Cookman. So, but when I did get to, so my thought and idea of college was in middle school, but in high school, it was more white folks in my high school than black folks. And our guidance counselors, they weren't really telling us to do that. I remember one of my teachers, her name was Miss Paul, and I never forget this. This was my 9th grade year. But she said, all you black kids, well, she didn't say black kids. She said, you folks who came from Greenwood, which was a majority black middle school. She said, you all might as well just look at a job at Train, which is a manufacturer company for air conditioners, or do tobacco, because where I'm from, there's a lot of tobacco fields. And I used to cut tobacco at 14. We would all get out there and make a lot of money with family members out there at 14 years old, cutting tobacco with your uncles and parents and grandparents and stuff like that. So she said that those are the two things. She said, you kids who came over from Greenwood, these are things that you should probably consider. So that was it. That was the college experience as far as high school. And if I didn't have my middle school experience, I wouldn't have had the forethought to think of, but what she's saying, like, it's something greater than that for me, even though doing those things was fine because I did them both. I did work at Train during my summers in college, and I worked in the tobacco as well as a kid, 14, 15 years old. So, it's all relevant.
Yeah. Let me, before we get to the story at hand, what's the tobacco? What do you do? What did you do during the tobacco? And hold on, let me ask you this in this regard. Could you imagine what slaves did in tobacco?
Man, man, the snakes, the spiders. I mean, the work in itself is difficult. So
Really?
you chop it, then you strip it, and then you got to get somebody to go up the ladders and you hang it. A lot of brothers broke backs, necks, and everything because you got to go way up in this in the smoke in the barns because you got to raise the tobacco. I mean, you got to
Really?
hang the tobacco. So it was tough work. And actually, I had family members who were enslaved that did work in the tobacco fields. So I can only imagine, even though I worked in them, I can only imagine what it was like. Just like with anything, it's tough work, and I thank them for everything that they did to stay alive and survive that, so I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you said when you did it, it was decent pay though.
Yeah. Back then, I mean, instead of working at a fast food joint, I mean, you go there. We did two things as kids. We picked blackberries. You get a gallon of blackberries, you get $5. With tobacco, you can come home with $120 a day.
That
Yeah,
ain't bad, I guess.
no, it wasn't bad, but it was
Yeah.
hard work, and you usually worked about 10 hours a day. It wasn't 8 hours.
Yeah.
So when I got my first job at Wendy's in 1996, and I was only making $3.15 an hour. I was like, man, this is crazy. Like I can
Yeah.
back out in the tobacco joint, but because I was also playing sports, I didn't have the time to go out there. And plus, we mostly did that in the summer.
Did you ever get bit by a snake?
No, but I've seen plenty.
But you saw the snakes.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they all throughout there. Yeah.
Dang. So now, what brought your interest in Black history like you have now?
Just being on the I was fortunate enough to be around my great grandmother, my great great grandmother, my great aunts, my uncles, my great uncles. I just lived in it because all the communities in which we lived in was where our ancestors mostly lived. So for us, it was second nature to kind of be enmeshed with what that history looked like because we were around it every day. And it, things didn't really look different for me until I really went to high school when we were mixed in more with white folks at Clarksville High School. But prior to that, I mean, my middle school, again, my principal was Black. My history teacher, Miss McKendry, she was Black. I mean, Miss Kendall, Miss Griffey, like Mr. Dowling, like I had all Black teachers in middle school. Literally from sixth grade, Miss Grimes, Coach Jackson, from sixth grade all the way up to eighth grade, every single one of my teachers were Black.
I love it.
So I didn't have no choice.
Yeah.
And I went to 2 HBCUs, so I didn't have a choice. You know what I'm saying? I loved it. Yeah.
So what do you do now? You do what? What is your career? That kind of thing.
So I'm a documentarian, and I have 4 independent projects that are out right now. I've directed some projects with some folks, and I'm also a licensed clinical mental health therapist, so I do therapy as well.
And so in particular, there was a topic that you wanted to speak about today.
Yeah. So one of the things that I which is my most recent release that's going to be coming up here on Friday, is a project that I just completed. It's a short. It's a documentary. It's a short, and it's called Sweet Home Alabama: A Chief and His Protege. So I was going to New Orleans for one of my cousin's memorials, and I stopped in Africantown.
Which is where?
In Mobile, Alabama.
Okay.
Africantown is Mobile, Alabama. We have an Africantown back in my hometown in Clarksville, Tennessee. So it's 2 different places. So Africantown is in Mobile, Alabama, and that is where the last documented slave ship that came into the United States.
Right.
Which, Zora Neale Hurston wrote the book about, Barracoon. So took a picture at the sign to say Africantown. I posted on my Instagram page, and the Instagram is History Before Us. If you got Instagram, and someone commented and was like, "Yo, what are you doing in my hood?" And that's just us, jiving. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, down here doing some research, and she was like, "Well, I'm one of the descendants of one of the individuals on the Clotilda because that was the ship."
Okay, hold on. Let's back up.
Yeah.
Tell us the story of Africantown, because I can give you a little preview. I mean, it's in my book.
Yeah.
That slavery, importation of slavery was abolished in 1808.
Yep.
Okay, go from there.
Yep. So 51 years, I believe, afterwards.
Okay.
So something about that, something around there, 42 years afterwards, these people were still being imported from slavery from Africa. Now, this was supposedly done via a bet. Now, there's multiple different things, there's multiple different stories, right? Because think about it, if we're talking about the 1800s up until now, everything changes, right? And you try to be as factual as possible. But there was a bet between the mayor family and another one, and they went to Dahomey, and the king of Dahomey agreed, and they got these brothers and sisters who were over in Africa, and they got them to Mobile, Alabama, right?
On that ship called the Cotillia, right?
Yeah, on the ship called the Clotilda, which again, this was done illegally. So the person who I interviewed, her fourth great grandfather, his name was Chief Aluale, aka Charlie Lewis, right? So he was a chief that was on that vessel. So the project is centered on him because a lot of individuals know about Cudjoe because of the book, but then also she's a cancer survivor because there in Africantown, there are a lot of chemical plants that are around there. So a lot of people in that community have unfortunately been diagnosed with cancer, and a lot of them have passed. So she was one of the ones who've been diagnosed with cancer, and she is a survivor. So there's the environmental piece that's in there. Then there's the resilience piece because she survived it, and there's a parallel because why I call it a chief and his protege is because he was able to survive the institution of slavery, starting over here in this country, not being a chief. He helped found a school. Helped found a church in this community, as well as the ridicule that they were faced with because they couldn't speak English. So when they got here, you got to think about it. Brothers and sisters have been here for 50, 60 years. They didn't know the language, right? So there was ridicule that was faced with that as well. And eventually, everything came together. But it's just a beautiful story of survival and resilience, and that's the project that I'm releasing on this Friday.
I got a couple more questions, but let me say this also to what I've come to learn, and I know you can chime in here. When they got the ship to America, the guy actually had to burn the ship or something like that, didn't he?
Yeah,
so that he couldn't get caught.
Yeah. But they found it.
Really?
Oh yeah. They found it 2000. I think it's 2019. They've been bringing up pieces slowly but surely. They actually just had a dive the other day, she told me. So there's been a lot more press about it because the ship has been found. So if you type in Clotilda ship now, you'll see all the articles and where they have found pieces of the ship, of the vessel.
Do you know this? Did the captain of that ship find, did anything happen to him? The government come after him or anything like that?
Nah, nothing like
Yeah.
that. But you know what? But that we know that they had been still bringing people over. When we talk about Jekyll Island down off the near Savannah, the Golden Isles, there were still more people that were cargo that was being brought over, right? So it never really ended, in my personal opinion.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Do you know how many people they said Africans were on that boat?
Roughly around 110, and people have different. Some say 100, some say 110. To me, that's neither here nor there.
People, right. That's still quite a few people.
Right, people were on it, and that's a problem within itself. Whether it's, and then of course, everyone has some sense of responsibility in that. Even the brothers over in Africa, right? Because you agreed to this. You know what I'm saying?
No, hold on. You agreed to what?
That's how the enslaved individuals got on the boat and got to whatchamacallit, because you had these tribes that were warring. So, these people go into the villages, and you had an agreement with the king of Dahomey, and then, you get all these cargoes based on the deals that you made with the Africans that were over there. So it actually, in 2018, a representative from Dahomey came over and apologized for their role in that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's incredible. So now, what happens is, now you're talking about, so let's say 50 something, right? When the boat got there.
1860.
So it's only more
And I
5
may
more
be off a
years.
couple of years, and I may be off just a couple of years.
Yeah, but it's only 5 years before slavery ends.
Yes, absolutely. And not only that, but her great grandmother, she said that she would also be over at her great grandmother's house, and every now and then they would speak in African language. So, this was something that's very recent, right? And I think that that's very important to know is that, even here in this soil, right, 50 something years after the international slave trade, this language was still utilized.
So what was it? Who named it Africantown?
So, you know what? I cannot remember exactly who did. So I don't want to say something that I don't know for sure.
Right.
I'd have to go back because there was a lot of footage, and it's a lot of information, as you know.
Yeah.
Like, so, but I can't remember exactly who, but I can get that for you.
Yeah. But so they lived there, and then they is Africantown, is that a separate community than where the white folks wanted them to do the harvesting and whatever they had them as enslaved people doing?
No, it was already a plantation. There were already enslaved people that was on it, right? It's just more notably known once the Clotilda got there, but there were already enslaved people in that area, in that community. It just, the name had changed to Africantown based on the Clotilda, coming there, and then after the Civil War.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah, so it was already, because you got to think about it. I mean, the institution of slavery was already in
yeah,
full motion.
Sure.
Yeah, the first, just, it was already slavery that was happening on that in that land prior to them getting there. They just were an additive, and they didn't all stay there. Some were in Selma, some went to Selma, some they went all throughout the country.
I got you.
They went all throughout the country. It's you bring over 100-something people. They weren't all for your plantation.
Yeah, right.
They were, that's the money maker, right? So you call up your folks from Mississippi, well, not call, but you send out for your folks from Mississippi, Tennessee, Alabama, all these other places, and they put them on a block and they get sold, unfortunately.
What does Africantown look like?
It's a neighborhood, right? It's a neighborhood, and the site of the church is still there. Goompa's, who was an individual that was on there, the chimney is still there. They just broke ground on a cultural center there not too long ago. So it's Black. It's right next to Pritchard, Alabama. It's Black. It is Black as Black can get, and I love it. And that's what it looks like. It's no different than any other neighborhood.
Right.
It just has that history that goes with it, which is very important.
Would you say their population is almost what, 80-90% African American in Africantown?
I would say 80%.
Okay.
If not more. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Brothers and sisters down there. Yeah, absolutely.
When you went there,
it's small. It's not like a huge space. It's small. It's right next to the city limits of Mobile.
So there's a sign that says you're entering Africantown.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Do you hear voices? Did you hear voices or anything like that?
When I was down there, I didn't, man, but you can feel it. If you're in tune with our history, and if you appreciate the ancestors, you can feel it, right? Like, I feel that it's just like going to plantations, right? Like, I sit on the board for the Slave Dwelling Project, and I'm really big on going to former plantations as well as Black cemeteries, because the spirit of those ancestors are neglected. And if you're a spiritual person and you're in tune with the ancestors, you got to recognize that they appreciate when you do come visit, right? So going to historic sites such as plantations, going to cemeteries, going to these old abandoned buildings, et cetera, that once breathed life from our people. I really believe that the ancestors are pleased to know that, hey, we aren't forgotten about, and we do get visitors as well. So that was no different. It was the same feeling, man. It felt good to be there. and I hope that they appreciated my presence.
Yeah. Just a couple more questions. Going back to the Africantown thing, is there I mean, did they have you know, a little, I'm sure they did, a business district, a street that was the main thoroughfare where they had some businesses and that kind of thing?
You know, I think it was pretty much the whole town, man.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think because it was such a unique space that housed these people directly from Africa, as well as people, brothers and sisters of African descent who were already there. Who at
Yeah.
that time, of course, unfortunately, rape had occurred and things like that, so they may have been multiracial.
Yeah.
You know, I think it was just that whole area was just its own economic source, right?
Yeah.
And then people, if they had to find work elsewhere, you know, back then, you know, they may have to go into Mobile if we're talking
Yeah.
about early 1800s, I mean, late 1800s or what have you. And then factories started coming in. So people would be working there in the factories, which is
Okay.
why a lot of individuals there got
Okay.
pinned because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Couple more questions kind of come on. When doggone it. Did Africantown ever face a massacre or a riot where the white folks tried to come in and burn it down? Anything?
Not to my knowledge. I have
Okay.
not. That hasn't been spoken to me. I think that it was just pretty well known that that's where they're at. You know, lead them on over there and don't let them
Okay.
do what they do. And we're over here in Mobile, right?
Okay.
But there of course black folks in Mobile. They're everywhere. But I think that Africatown, because it has been able to kind of keep that stronghold on its history, that people just kind of respected it for what it was. And that's not to
Yeah.
say that they didn't. I just may not be privy to it.
Yeah. 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 Did you hear of them having some kind of festival?
They still do. They honor their ancestors. Man, it was one. They have a couple of them. They do a Juneteenth event,
Yeah.
uh, and then there's another event that is specific to Africatown,
Yeah.
and I think they had to do it virtually last year.
Yeah.
So,
Sure. Sure.
yep. So they do exactly what they're supposed to do, what all of our Black communities need to do, and that's to celebrate these days of liberation as well as to celebrate our ancestors. Where I'm from, we have the 8th of August Day,
Yeah.
and
I've heard about that.
yeah, so 8th of August, that was our June, that's our Juneteenth. So I didn't hear about Juneteenth, man, until I was in my mid-20s, because we never celebrated Juneteenth. We celebrated the 8th of August in Tennessee, in Middle Tennessee and Western Kentucky. We celebrate the 8th of August.
Yeah. I got a couple people on
Also
channel.
Virginia, and also in Virginia too. Some areas of Virginia, they celebrate the 8th of August. So the thing is, there's multiple different days of liberation that are celebrated in our communities. We just got to do more in-depth research and
That's
find.
right. That's right. Yeah, you're on point. Now, how do people find out about you? Do you have a website and the documentary and the things that you have coming? How do we support this, man?
Yeah, so website is historybeforeus.com. Again, that's historybeforeus.com. It's just how it sounds. That's how you spell it. You spell it just how it sounds. And then on social media is at History Before Us, and that's on Instagram, that's on Facebook, and that's on Twitter. I don't really tweet that often because
Yeah,
tweets move too fast. I ain't got time
yeah.
for that. But on Facebook and Instagram is at History Before Us.
Well, when you come out with this the next film, how do people watch it?
Yeah, so if you go on to the website, you can find it
Yeah.
on the website. The first film is titled the American South as We Know It, and I traveled throughout the South for a year and a half interviewing individuals about their specified experiences during Jim Crow. And I call them survivors because you had to be able to survive Jim Crow. And that's just what it is. We know a lot of brothers and sisters, unfortunately, were hanged during that time period. So, we celebrate those survivors as well as individuals who were lost, right, in memorial. And then the follow-up documentary to that was The Other Side of the Coin, Race, Generations, and Reconciliation, where we identify where everyone is at, where people are at, that's been filmed from a span of generations with regards to this race thing, right? Race is a construct. And then Sweet Home Alabama, Chief is a Protege, that I'm releasing on Friday. That'll be available on the website as well. Working on a couple other projects,
Yeah.
Duality, a collection of Afro-Indigenous perspectives. So we're filming Afro-Indigenous folks, And just a couple of other things. I was just down in Selma filming as well. A sister named Afriye, We Can Do This. So interviewing her about her life as well. So a lot of good things coming up, brother. A lot of good things.
I love it, man. I love it. Just as we kind of come to a close, just off the cuff, is there a question that I have not asked you or something like that? I know we went through the website.
Yeah.
That you want to share with us, maybe.
You know, it's just keep learning, man. You know, it's dispelling the things that we have learned, right? What has been etched in our memory as it relates to what we may have learned through K through 12. You know, like literally, I'm researching this book right here, which is Tennessee Slave Narratives. I'm putting up 5 historical markers in my hometown, Clarksville, Tennessee. One on the slave market, one on the Negro Fairgrounds, one on the 101st USCT soldiers, one on the a brother by the name of Pope G. Garrett, who was a businessman there, and also Lincoln Homes, which was a housing project, quote unquote housing project in the 1940s. So I'm putting those up as well. We're going to be, hopefully they'll be in, because not too many people are working now. It's been a delay in getting the historical markers or what have you. But identifying things such as that you can go into your own communities to do. You don't have to be a historian to do that. All you have to do is have the documents presented, get you a group of individuals. Historical markers cost up to about $1,600. And just imagine if we had more people that were collectively getting together, putting their money together in these spaces from a gentrification standpoint that may be gone, but we can put that marker right there and say, hey, y'all may whiten this, but listen, this was right here, right? This was right here. So I just encourage everyone that has any opportunity or the means to do such is to get together as a collective and make sure that we continue to share the narrative of our ancestors.
Now, when you put the markers, you got to get approval from the city council and all that kind of thing, though, maybe, do you?
For the slave market, I did. It was on 2nd and Franklin, which is right in the downtown square. And the mayor approved it. So we good. Keep
doing it, my brother. Everybody, I told you he was going to blow your mind. You ain't heard of no Africantown outside of Mobile. It's in my book. If you'd have wrote the book, you heard about it. But nonetheless, my man been there. I got to go check it out.
Check it out, brother.
Man, I thank you for coming on the channel and sharing this with us, and your passion too, and growing up as you did in that town, and then turning them people out. I was probably got all the better grades than they did, and they still, she was like, man, come on, I get all A's. I got all this. Went to college, got them degrees out of that. You a superstar down there, brother.
Yeah,
you the man. You the man. That's how I look at it. And I'm so happy you came on Strong Inspirations.
Thank you.
Everybody hit the subscribe button. This is what we do. We find these people down there in these towns that's doing this thing. And hit the like button on this video. Hit the notifications bell. You see I'm putting 4 or 5 videos up a week. I'm so happy he came on the channel. Man, they told me about this guy. I said, please let me hook you, come him on. And he said, yeah, I'll do it.
Yep.
Everybody, tell somebody, and to you, my brother, I say this with all sincerity. I want you to stay strong, stay safe, stay on your grind. I love what you're doing, that you're following through.
Absolutely.
I know how hard it is to make a movie.
Yes, sir.
And you're doing it, and you're interviewing the people, and what you're doing one of the best ways is documenting that history. It never goes away as long as you got that tape. People can see it and hear it and watch it. Keep doing that.
I appreciate it.
Everybody, Strong Inspirations, we coming at you. Thank you so much for being on the channel.